step here. What we're going to be looking at inside this clip is exactly how Sam can take your specific writing style and enhance every single piece of content so it sounds like you and is written specifically for the person who's going to be receiving it.
Inside of Sam, we have the routine builder, the routine section where you can set up different types of routines. The power of the routine is in the ability to set up reminders to do things, but also the automation that goes with those reminders. So anytime that you're doing any kind of activity within the system, it's basically just a calculated reminder that you're setting up. And then whenever a particular date field is filled in, it will do something. This is an example of one of those things that I think will be of benefit to many of you, because you can reduce the number of routines that you use based off of certain conditions that may play a factor in its use. So what do I mean by that? Well, many times when you're creating workflows, you're creating routines of different types, sometimes there's some slight differences based off of who am I sending this to. So in the past, you would have to go in there and you'd have to create a routine for buyers and a routine for sellers and maintain two separate lists of either routines or full-blown workflows. And the majority of the parts and pieces inside of that routine were common between the two. So you might have a seller routine and it has lots of different things, and you might have a buyer routine that has lots of things in there, but some of them are common between each other, where normally you would set up two separate routine pieces on that. Well, now, and we added this last week or week before last, we now have the ability to set up what we call conditional actions or conditional messages. So whenever you go in and you go to create a new activity in here, you set up all the mathematics. When is this activity going to create itself? And in this particular case, I'm using the recording date, and it's just 0 days after the recording date. Or in this case, it's actually on the recording date. You may have something that's like, 2 days after the recording date. And that may not be the best date to use as this example, but just for this, this example, we're going to go with it. So typically you would come in here once you've created that calculation. It's going to put it into your calendar on the calculated date, and it would come up as a reminder. Well, you can do that manually, or you can set up what we call actions. Those actions, if you go in here to click on action, we've got multiple different types of actions. All of those have been important. All of those have been critical in building those automations that you do every day. What we did a couple weeks ago is we added the send conditional message. And the send conditional message then allows you, whenever you choose this, it gives you the ability to choose certain fields that we can check the values on to see, do we want to do something with it? And instead of actually doing this one, I'm just going to go to one that I've already got here. So in this particular case, I've got the activity that's going to send a message to either the buyer or the seller or both, depending on what side I represent. And this is the condition part. If I represent the seller, I would want to send the seller message. If I represent the buyer, I want to send the buyer message. Okay, so I'm going to go into the buyer piece here. And in this case, we give it a title, and that's just the title that's shown inside the action itself. We can choose whether we want this process done automatically, just automatically send it out whenever it's due or whatever. If you uncheck this, then it's going to be something where you have to manually send it. But whenever you manually send it, it will send the right things based off of the right condition. So you don't have to worry about that. In this case, we are choosing the action being send conditional message, as opposed to any of those other ones that we just covered. And the thing that it needs to know is what is the field we want to check that condition on. So what field value in the database, so this is a transactional workflow, so it's looking at the transaction details, and it's looking at, in this case, the transaction side. Am I the buyer? Am I representing the buyer only, buying only option, or there's different options that you can pick and choose from. So if I come down here to my condition, I've told it right here which field I want to check the condition on. Then it comes down here and you can add as many different conditions as you want. In this case, this is condition number 1, is if this field contains buying only, meaning I'm representing the buyer only on the transaction side. If that's the case, then I want it to send this template. If I come down here to condition number 2, is if I'm representing both the listing side and the buying side, I still want to send that same message. It could be a different message if I wanted to. If I want to change the wording a little bit or send something different, I can certainly do that by choosing a different template. But in this case, as long as I'm representing the buyer side, in either case, I want to send out this buyer's opening email message. Okay. We added that, and there were a few challenges that we needed to fix. We took care of those challenges. But the one thing that we didn't really anticipate prior to this update, it also required you to have a default message, meaning you'd go in there, and if the condition of your action wasn't this one or this one, then it would fall through and do a default message, some other email of some sort, which is extremely useful in the case of maybe you want to check to see if I'm sending a message to my category A people, I want to send a certain message. But if it's a category B, C, D, or E, or whatever, not a category, then I would want to send a different message. So maybe my really important people, I want to send them something and invite them to something, where the other ones is just telling them something and doesn't have the invite, something like that. You can do several different things where you check a particular condition, send a particular message. If it's a different condition, it can send a different message. And if you want to have a fall through, a fail safe, something that is handling all the other conditions, you can certainly turn on the default message and then assign that default template if you want. But now with this recent update, you can actually leave that off. And what this allows you to do by doing that is if it doesn't send, if it's not a buyer side only, or if you're not representing both sides, then that must mean you're representing the seller. And in that case, you don't want to send this message at all, or any message like this to whoever the person is. So in this case, what we're going to do, I'm going to cancel that. If we take a look at the other side of this, let's go into the seller side. It's kind of the opposite, where I'm still doing the same title, just for the seller though, same condition. In this case, I'm checking the same field, but I'm this time checking to see, am I representing the listing side, or am I dealing with both sides? And if I'm dealing with the listing side, then I want to send the seller opening message. So it gives me the opportunity to choose one or the other or both. But if it's neither, if it's not one or the other, I can choose to not send anything at all. The action just gets skipped. So that's a good case for, in the case that I just represent the buyer, then it won't send the seller one. So this has been, as far as the power of the ability to do things with this, has been greatly improved just by creating that alternate option of the default and letting it fall through if it doesn't actually have a default. So that's been corrected. That's been changed that way. It's extremely powerful. With great power comes great responsibility. Obviously, make sure that you guys use some test cases, go through the process of making sure that it works the way you want it. But now you've got lots of different options for sending messages at different times based off of field values, whether it be a property, a listing, a transaction, or a contact. You have the ability to check different fields and their different values based off of what's in them.
Now that we have a better understanding of how we can personalize things using SAM, I think you have a better understanding of how we can start to build stronger retention networks and drive leads into customers. This is truly the secret to success, because what it unlocks for you is going to be incredible. So I'd like to offer you the opportunity to try SAM for yourself. All you need to do is visit sam.workflowsecrets.info and click the big sign up button. Once you sign up, you'll be able to have 14 days of free access inside the system. I'll send you emails each and every day so you can start to learn how to use the system and see that it's actually going to be the solution for you. Then once you're done, you can sign up with a monthly subscription and join our community and start diving in to moving the needle for your business like you never have before. I can't wait to see you inside.